All right, traders, brace yourself because the stock market crash is officially here. SPY has officially cracked the key level, the key 421 to 425 support level with huge upside has officially cracked. If we can get this key level to react as a resistance level tomorrow, we're looking at a hard flash crash to about $416. Within this video, I'm going to be explaining to you on why I decided to swing trade my put options that I'm already up substantially on overnight. I'm going to be explaining to you on the potential of a flash crash tomorrow and why I strongly believe for the micro and for the macro, the market is going to continue to crash. Huge shout out to those of you who are in Trader Society. I had people trading SPY put options better than me today. They're absolutely crushing it, calling it out in the 430s. Keep in mind, though, I did also swing trade some of my puts from yesterday on SPY, so those did well as well. And then I have two new positions that I opened today that I'm up substantially on. So in terms of the new positions, I ended up grabbing some put options on SPY, the 425 out of money strike. I bought these today when SPY was at 426, currently up 47% on that position. And then in terms of my first position that I took today, I took this one very, very early in the morning. I ended up buying some Moderna put options. And with that being said, this is going to be a more higher risk trade as I am holding this position through earnings. It is currently dropping in after hours, so I'm going to be going over why I'm expecting this to crash tomorrow. But I do have a big position on this one. This is money I'm willing to, willing to risk, willing to afford to lose. But I did take a bigger position. This is definitely going to be one of my more bigger positions in terms of like a YOLO and earnings play. I typically don't do these, but I'm going to explain to you why I'm doing it on this one. Both of these contracts expire on Friday. This is a 141 strike. Within this video, I'm going to be explaining to you on why I'm expecting the market to sell off very, very hard, why I strongly believe this is going to be a micro and a macro bull trap. The bulls are about to get trapped once again. And I want to give a big shout out to the members within Trader Society, because like I said, they've been crushing it. Some of them have literally been trading better than me lately. So big shout out to those of you within Trader Society. We had some great commentary, some great trades within the chat room. I mean, you guys were killing it on the SPY puts, making 50%. Bobby was up over 123% at one point in terms of his put options, and he's still holding some of those. Like, you guys are absolutely crushing it. And big shout out to all the commentary. I saw a lot of you guys alert SPY puts when it was at 430. Like I said, in the morning, I was very bearish on everything. I decided to go with Moderna. And then later in the day, I went with the SPY puts that are currently at 47%. So let's get into this whole analysis, right? So let's just break down this whole analysis. So in terms of the SPY, right? This is some of my commentary. So in terms of like the real-time alerts, you can see right here at 9:54 p.m. This is where I alerted the Moderna puts. Those exploded. They were up 33% at one point. If you went with further out of the money, you would have made 60 to 70%. And then I alerted the SPY puts. These were only $1 out of the money, alerted at 2:09 p.m. The key breakdown. Those are up 47% right now. If you would have went further out of the money, you'd be up like 80% to 90%. Now, if you went with same day expiration, you could have made a quick 100% easily on those. Like we had a lot of people within the chat. Big shout out to Gearwar. Big shout out. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. Big shout out to Bobby. I've seen you guys killing it. You guys are absolutely crushing it. So let's kind of get into this whole analysis here and this whole idea on SPY. So in terms of SPY, this is what needs to happen for us to flash crash, whether that's going to be tomorrow, whether that's going to be this week. This is what needs to happen. In terms of tomorrow, if it's going to be tomorrow, this is what needs to happen. We need to quickly turn $422 into resistance. If not, then 425. The zone of resistance has to be 425 to 422. If the SPY can continue to stay under 425 to 422, we are looking at a crack of this support level that has big upside potential. Your key support level from here, this is your make it or break it level for the micro, is going to be 420.80. 420.80. It literally just hit an after hours, already having a small bounce. If 420.80 cracks, you are looking at a flash crash. You are going to be looking at a hard sell on the SPY. So keep that in mind in terms of key breakdown price action. Now if 420.80 cracks and it turns as resistance, it's going to be a hard sell off. So now in terms of key breakdown potential. How low can it go for the micro if 420.80 cracks and reacts as a resistance level? There's a gap to fill right here at $115. There's a gap to fill at 115. In terms of your next overall support level, you got some support at 119s, but I mean, overall, I would say like 116. I would say around 116 is how low it can flash crash. In order for it to have that flash crash, all this has to really do is turn 420.80. You can see it literally already bounced off it in after hours. It has to crack that and turn it into resistance. If that can happen, I strongly believe we're going to see a nice downside move. So with that being said, in terms of where do I think we're at on the whole SPY and on this current situation, well, this whole macro idea has turned very, very bearish. You can see right here, 457 to $450 was your key support on the SPY. Once it cracked this key 450 to 457 level, it had a flash crash very, very quickly to $420.80. Then it ripped back up, simply turning previous support into resistance, forming the new lower high in the daily, which is bearish. Then it started to sell off again. And you could see SPY traded in this key price channel from 428, from low 420s to 444. This was your key resistance level. It turned into support. Once it cracked and reacted as a resistance, it then turned very, very bearish for the micro once again. So it turned that key 444 support into resistance, which is extremely bearish. Then you could see you have key support right here, 435, right? Nice micro bounce move. It cracks that, turns it into resistance for 2 days straight. Remember how I told you in yesterday's video, if that reacts as a resistance level, the SPY is going to get crushed and go into the 420s. Well, today was the third day where it formed lower highs. Your highs right here, your lower highs right here, your lower highs right here. Yesterday was confirmation that it turned 435 into key resistance, which is why I had stated, within Trader Society, this is why I had clearly stated, where's the analysis? SPY has failed to close strong. It appears to be a fake out. We'll be holding my SPY put options overnight, right? That's why I had stated that, because it is turning your key support into previous resistance, turning your key support into new resistance, into new lower highs, turning your key support, right, from 456, remember, into new resistance, new lower highs. So we are on this huge micro downtrend where it just consistently turns the previous support level into the new lower high, into the new resistance level, right, which is extremely bearish. And it's consistently doing that. So with that being said, once we can crack this 420.80 level, we're heading to 416. That's where we're heading. Now, if 420.80 holds, how high is this going to bounce to? I'll tell you. It's going to bounce to right about here, the previous overall support level. I would say to around 426 to 425. If you see that react as a resistance level, 426, 425, SPY is just going to get absolutely wrecked. It's going to flash crash 421. So basically, in terms of this whole bearish theory, this is what you're going to want to understand. If this pops tomorrow, 422 to 426, that zone needs to react as a resistance, especially 426. That is key. This key 426 needs to react as a resistance for true strength, for true micro strength of 422, right? So if that zone can react as a resistance, we're going to be on track to crack 420.80, quickly into the rest of this week. If it breaks above 426 and turns it into support, then we're on track to rip back up to 430 to 433. To see that flash crash, cannot go above 426. For true strength, it needs to stay under 422. If it can just continue to stay under this 426, 425 to 422 level, we're going to see that hard sell-off that we are anticipating. But either way, guys, just by looking at this chart and where things are heading in terms of macro, this is just so bearish. This is going to easily go to like 415. Most likely this week, if not, then like next week. It's just like we're heading there. We're definitely heading there. But there is the possibility where, if this is a strong support level, if it holds tomorrow and bounces off this level and showing signs of strength, then this will rip back up to 426. It just has to stay under 426. But for true micro bearish strength, stays under 426, stays under 422. If they can just keep doing that, then we're going to see that hard sell. So, I mean, that's the overall thoughts. That's the overall analysis on the SPY, on the whole price action. You just have to understand, it's either make it or break it. And there is that possibility where we could see a small bounce, right? We could see a small bounce for the short term. But if we do see that small bounce, I personally think it's just going to be it bouncing to turn previous support into resistance. Like for example, right here, see how it cracks 444, it cracks it, then it bottoms out at 435, it spikes back to 444 to turn that into resistance. Then once that previous support is resistance, then it sells off. So in terms of, well, where's that previous support level that you're talking about? It's a little hard to say. You know, I told you 426. Looking at the chart, I would say like 426 right here, this previous support, 426 to 430. That's what I would say. 426 to 430 is where that bounce range can be. If that does occur though, I strongly believe it's just going to be, it's simply turning previous support into resistance and then it flash crashes. Either way though, this is going to get crushed. So that's the thoughts, that's the analysis. Like in terms of where I believe at, we either flash crash and hit 416 or it bottoms out at 420.80, rips to 426 to 430, turns the previous support into resistance. You see those confirmations, hard sell off back to 420.80, cracks, then drops to 416. That's my current views on the SPY. Obviously, this can change rapidly as this market changes rapidly, but that's what I'm currently thinking on the SPY. And I did want to point out this pattern as well, because this is like very, very key information in terms of this trade that I'm making, and one of the reasons why I decided to hold this overnight and not lock in all the gains. With that being said, see how there's strong support right here. And when it cracks this strong support level, it has a massive sell-off. Look at this squeeze indicator. See how when it turns dark blue, it's bearish, it starts going down. And then when it turns red, it sells off very, very hard when it cracks that support. Look, it's doing the same thing. See how it forms these blue bars? See how it forms these blue bars right here? And then when it turns red, it starts to sell off very, very hard. And this is the second day where it's red, and this is the second day where it's red, and it just looks like it's just getting ready to sell off even harder. I mean, if we're looking at this pattern, like guys, look at this pattern. You have this green day right here, 4 straight red days, and then the next day was your biggest red day at market open. It was an absolute morning panic, flash crash, bloodbath, and then it came soaring back. But the point is, we could be seeing something like this. See how the green day is right here, then you have 4 red days. See how the green day is right here, then you have 4 red days, crack of key support, crack of key support. If this history repeats itself, we could see a massive, morning panic, a massive flash crash. And if we get that, that's where I'm locking in profits, right? And if we get that similar move, like the puts are going to absolutely explode. So just looking at the squeeze indicator, looking at how this chart's playing out, it's looking very, very bearish. All we got to do is just crack this 420.80. That's it. It's game over when 420.80 cracks. In the meantime, it's got to stay under 422. Otherwise, it rips to 426. That's my overall thoughts on the SPY. So in terms of buy zones, I would wait for it to flash crash. I wouldn't try buying into some micro bounce at 420.80. I would just wait for the flash crash. So in terms of buy zones, like I said, like 415, there's a gap to fill. There's some support around 416-ish level. That would be the potential micro buy zone for a quick scalp. The macro is so bearish. We've gotten all of our confirmations. But yeah, that's my thoughts. That's my analysis on it. I'm looking for that morning panic at market open. That's really what I'm looking for. And then I'm looking to lock in profits towards there, as this can easily rip back up as it's trading towards key support, right? If it gets slammed tomorrow with a big red day, odds are we'll end up spiking back, especially if it's a morning panic. Like if we see a nice morning panic, a huge crash at market open, odds are this is going to rip back. So yeah, we'll have to see. That's my thoughts. That's my analysis on it. I'll tell you this though, tomorrow and Friday are going to be some of the craziest, most profitable trading days of the year. Like I'm telling, with these contracts expire, like it is going to be absolutely ludicrous in terms of price action, in terms of trading. It is going to be unreal for tomorrow and Friday. So I'm looking forward to that. Who knows? We might do a micro call at 415, at 416 if it looks good, if we can get that low. But yeah, that's my thoughts. That's my analysis on the SPY in terms of this whole, Moderna YOLO trade. You guys should go back to my channel. Actually, if you go back to like the beginning of the channel, this is actually one of the stocks that I was able to hit big on, and that took my small account from a couple $1,000s to $40,000. I put in like $3,500 into a put option when Moderna was trading like in the 490s. I put in like literally 3,500 into the puts, held those for like 2 or 3 days, and those puts like they 15x'd. They 15x'd in that swing trade. It dropped 100 points within 2 days from where I bought the puts. I bought the puts right here on this day. I bought the puts in the 470s. I held, I got squeezed a little bit, and I was telling, if you watch that video, I'll leave a link down below in the description. I'll go back and find it. It's like one of the first videos on my channel, like towards the middle. And I told people like, this key $500 level, there's no way it holds this. It's going to get crushed. And then I held, and then I got out on this day right here. It dropped 100 points within 2 days. And those put options, they were like Friday expirations, I think. They made 1,500%, and I turned like 3,500 into 40K. That was one of my best trades in a year. So I hit a big YOLO on it. And, you know, I'm using some of those profits to do another YOLO. This one's going to be a lot bigger though. So in terms of this Moderna trade, right? The whole idea is here, it is going to tank after the earnings are released. The earnings drop tomorrow at market open. You could see I sized in, you know, very heavily. I have 18K on the line with this trade. I'm currently up 16%. With that being said, like a lot of people are aiming towards puts. I was looking at the option chain. The unusual volume is like crazy. Look at the unusual volume. Look at the volume on these out of money puts. Like everybody's writing puts on this. Like a lot of people are going heavy on puts because they're seeing what I'm seeing too. So it's not just me thinking this way, and they're going far out of the money. Like I'm playing it safe. I stayed in the money. I mean, with that being said, you know, I picked these up early at market open when this was at like 143. It just dropped to 132.40 in after hours. Like it's already selling off in after hours. I think it's down like 2-3% in after hours now. But with that being said, the idea here is, in terms of this whole Moderna stock, see how your key support, it's like that same type of thing with SPY, except Moderna has already cracked it, which is even very true signs of weakness. See how this key support level is at 438? Well, it cracked that and it turns it into resistance, which is very, very bearish. So instead of this big upside move, we're looking at a big downside move, right? And in terms of the daily chart, the next support level, the next consolidation level where Moderna likes to rest is like, it's mainly, I know there's some support right here, like, you know, 129, but it's really down here to fill this gap at 117. So the chart is extremely bearish. The chart's a hard sell, key breakdown setup, very, very bearish setup to really go back down to fill these gaps, waiting to fill below. In terms of like the fundamental sense and the earnings and stuff like that, I mean, there's just really no reason for this to go up. There's no strong catalyst. There's no strong reason. I don't see any strong reason for this to really do well on earnings. Like this whole COVID thing, it's like, it's basically over. Like this company is not, it's not worth what it's currently trading at. The chart is extremely bearish. It's a hard sell. I mean, just look at what occurred on last earnings. Like this went from 360 all the way to 213. Like it crashed 50% in 2 days. I mean, I'm thinking we gap down. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking we gap down. I think it's extremely overvalued. I think this whole COVID thing is just coming to an end. Like it's just not realistic for stocks to stay at these inflated prices when they don't have a strong reason to do so. And with that being said, I don't think the earnings are going to be good for this stock. Of course, with bad earnings, it can still go up. It's just, I don't see any reason for this to really go up. So, I mean, that's my thoughts on it. That's the analysis. And that's why I mainly decided to go with Moderna put options through earnings. So yeah, I mean, we'll see how it works out. If it doesn't work out, it is what it is. I put in what I'm willing, you know, to afford to lose. That's with my account size. That's what I'm willing to risk. And in terms of the SPY, you know, it did just bounce off of 420.80. So just keep in mind, like last time it hit 420.80, this ripped very, very quickly to 440s. So just keep that in mind. Like it has to crack 420.80. But yeah, I'm looking for a morning panic. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for on the SPY. I'm looking for the morning panic at open, see if we'll get it. If not, then I'll probably look to step out and get back in at a better level. Simple as that. I don't see this gapping up or doing anything, some sort of, you know, I don't see anything great going on with the SPY. It looks like the whole market is about to get crushed and about to get rocked. I think things are going to be very, very differently from last time when SPY was trading at 420.80. And the main reason why is, and this is why for those of you who stay to the end of these videos, you really do get rewarded in terms of like educational, you know, value. It's just understanding how price action works, understanding how charts work. I mean, think about like SPY has all this key support in the 420s. It crashed from 480 to 420. very quickly. It's forming lower highs. Your lower highs are at 460s, are 458, are 457, right? It can't even go back to those new all-time highs. So when a stock is forming those new lower highs, that's very, very bearish, meaning when it goes back to that key 420 support level, instead of just ripping back up, like, yes, sometimes it'll rip back up, but like the point is it's not pushing back towards all-time highs. So it's got much more downside left to go. That's what I'm trying to get you guys to understand. This is key support turned into resistance. From a macro point of view, it has so much more downside to go because it can't go above those new all-time highs. It's no longer retesting new all-time highs. It's forming new lower highs. Therefore, it should crack this 420.80 level within time and really get crushed and really sell off. That's what you have to understand from a macro perspective. It's just by looking at this chart, it's like your key support is in the 420s. It rips to 480s. It goes back to 420s. It forms new lower highs, turning key previous support into resistance, which is bearish. So the chart is screaming that this is just going to crack and fall off a cliff. That's what the chart is screaming, because just think of the margins. It went from 480 to 420, right? That's a 60-point margin. This time it went from 460 to 420. So that's a 40-point margin. So if you do the math, you can look at a big crash coming, a big move coming. That's 20 points of margin left, where that instead of that move being up, you're looking at down. So that's kind of the thoughts. That's kind of the analysis from a macro perspective on the SPY. And you could just see, I mean, the big key for micro strength is to stay under 422. That's like the big key for micro strength for the bears, to stay under 422. If not, then 426 has to stay under 426 to 430. But once this can crack 420.80 and form resistance, it's gonna fall off a cliff. So that's my thoughts. That's my plays. That's my strategies. It's gonna be very interesting to see how this pans out. Tomorrow is going to be absolutely insane. If you are interested in being a part of Trader Society, that is going to be the first link down below in the description, where you get to trade live with me every single day at market open. You get access to the chat room, to the daily watch list, to the daily stock analysis. You get access to one-on-one direct messaging me personally, and also to the members. I'm telling you, we got a great group, guys. We got some great members in here who are absolutely killing it. We do have some great members who are giving out phenomenal trades, phenomenal price action analysis, phenomenal stock analysis, good alerts, good education. And I see them, and I try my best to call them out, like within these videos, to like spread the word, because they deserve it, like to give them more credibility. But yeah, I'm very excited to really make some amazing trades moving forward. Like this should be one of those trades in the books. If this pans out to crack this 428 level, this should be one that goes down in the books. But yeah, if you do want to join us, it's going to be the first link down below in the description. It is a one-time fee. You get lifetime access. Everything that's included in the program is, it's all explained. When you click that first link, everything's explained. Then you just click the button, you sign up, you get instant access, and it's lifetime access. You can start trading with us as soon as possible. So I will see you guys tomorrow in the live trading session tomorrow. Looking forward to working with you, and I'm going to be doing more stock analysis within the chat room tonight. Just post your stocks. I'll be doing the analysis on those stocks, and I will see you in the live trading webinar tomorrow.